Hello, friends. Today is also the 13th of July. I've been having so many technical difficulties lately during this Mercury retrograde period. We have to understand that astrology is a very practical thing, and for whatever reason, the normal orderly flow in the connections between things seem to be disrupted between in a Mercury retrograde period. Things don't move forward as they should. So in addition to taking off my headset and talking happily for 20 minutes with hardly any sound occurring, I had all of my time ran out on the little dongle that I used to get the internet, and suddenly it became so slow that the last program that I was making for you was simply interrupted. There was no transmission, and I fear that poor Sirius and its line of descent may have suffered a little bit. So we're dealing with the old commentary now, and I'd like to just review a little bit about what we said about the Sirian line of descent, which goes through Pisces, Uranus, the hierarchy, and also the heart center and solar plexus center of the human being. The central light of Sirius, well, it is on the second ray, isn't it? In its monadic nature, most probably along with the sixth ray. The central light of Sirius shone through the eye of the sun, and SON, and maybe Sirius itself, can in a local sense be considered the eye of the Son of God. And the vision came, which is always associated with second ray and with Jupiter. The quality of the inner vision is the method of inducing soul control for those strongly upon the second aspect, and when anybody uses the second aspect. The light of wisdom, remember Sirius has a lot of monastic quality, so Manus and love together incline towards the wisdom. The light of wisdom penetrated into the waters of space, and cast the radiance of the heavens into the depths. In this case, we're talking about, from one perspective, the cosmic mental plane, which is a position where Sirius has, the Lord of Sirius, has achieved a focus, whereas our Lord, our Solar Logos, has not yet achieved that focus and is moving towards his third cosmic initiation. So the waters are the waters of space, and we can even talk about the cosmic astral plane as being waters, and they would be ruled, in this case, by Pisces. When you're dealing with constellational lords, such as the Lord of the constellation Pisces or any of the 12, there's no way to confine their influence simply to the cosmic physical plane. They are great beings. I mean, if even our own planetary logos has a focus on the cosmic planes and on the cosmic mental plane particularly, certainly it is true of the lords of solar systems and of the lords of constellations, and even on beyond that. So Sirius is a kind of a combination of a constellation. It has more than one star, so anything with more than one star, if both stars are active, should be considered a constellation. And Sirius B may be very active, because it seems to have something to do with the fourth initiation, just the way Sirius A has more to do with the fifth. The light of wisdom penetrated into the waters and cast the radiance of the heavens into the depths. The heavenly one, in the highest sense here, is Sirius, but sometimes Uranus is called that. And the depths, I suppose, are the depths would be the personality nature of the planetary or solar logos, anything below the higher cosmic mental plane. At this attractive call, the goddess, not many goddesses, but the one goddess, who is Pisces, rose unto the surface and was able thereby to contact the stream from Sirius. The fish goddess, this is AAB telling us, the symbol of Pisces, and welcome the light. It is indeed a heavenly light of a cosmic kind within the depths, within the waters of space, within the matter which in a way Pisces rules, because it is said of Pisces on the clockwise wheel, go forth into matter. So Pisces in a way rules all of matter, as does its polar opposite Virgo. And welcome the light within the depths that is, within the personality nature as opposed to the soul nature, and this cosmically considered, and welcomed the light within the depths and grasped it as her own. She saw the sun Sirius, having seen her sun, because Sirius is the S-U-N and the S-O-N both together, and from that day the sun has never left her. And what I had said before was that just as Venus is exalted and has to do with the second aspect of divinity and is exalted in Pisces, so there may be an even higher relationship here of the sun Sirius, because Venus and the sun Sirius are as if lower and higher octaves of each other. There's kind of a line here between Venus, Neptune, and Sirius. It's the Christ line. So she saw the sun having seen her sun. I mean, obviously there's more to it than I'm saying, but these are the thoughts that occur to me as I go. And from that day, the sun has never left her. So there is the union of this great second ray constellation, Lord of the constellation, and with Sirius, as to which is ultimately superior, not just in a relative but an absolute sense. That is a big question and an intricate one, which I've sometimes brought to our attention. There is no darkness, and in Pisces we find the light of the world, and I'm sure that the great illumination of Sirius, having so much to do with even the illumination of mankind at the third degree, that illumination furthers the illumination of the light of the world. There is always light. It is a final light. Well, in the beginning, there's a lot of darkness in Pisces. It is everything that obscures the inner light, whether that be matter or psychic phenomena or whatever may be the various veils laid over the inner light. But finally, when this begins to take place, we can say there is always light. And then the heavens within the ring pass not responded to the light from Sirius. Well, the ring pass not, I suppose, is our solar system. Let's just put that as a possibility. The RP is our solar system. Now, who knows how the response in other solar systems go? I mean, obviously, we cannot be so, in this sense, heliocentric that we think that all response will be to our solar system, because these rays go out in a spherical manner, and Sirius may well be one of the 7 solar systems of which ours is one, a local cosmic logos, and affect all these various suns and whatever planets they may have or whatever lives may be within their ring pass not. And then the heavens within the ring pass not responded to the light from Sirius, which, passing through the sea of Pisces, including, I would say, the cosmic astral plane. Pisces must have a lot to do with the cosmic astral plane, as Neptune certainly does, and Neptune is a very high ruler in Pisces, maybe for all of humanity and not so much individually, for the individual human being, the Tibetan tells us. Okay, responded to the light from Sirius, which, passing through the sea, imagine the cosmic astral plane being called a sea, lifted the little fishes into the heavenly sphere. And these are the emanations, or the emanated souls, of the souls in incarnation, and they are down in the 3 lower worlds. And also, if it's really going to be lifting into the heavenly sphere, Uranus is one of the synthesizing planets, so we're talking about a lifting occurring from even a higher place than down in the lower 3 worlds. And thus a triple light appeared. And always a triple light is appearing when you blend the super constellation level with the constellation level with the planetary level. We saw that when we saw the Great Bear, Leo, and Saturn. It was the triple light. And now we have a triple light, which is Sirius, Pisces, and Uranus. What Uranus is doing there, this is a big question, but as I've often said, it does seem to resemble Pisces in certain particulars in terms of the duality of these two half moons, as it were, the pairs of opposites, and much to do with the uniting of the pairs of opposites. Pisces is a sign of fusion, and Uranus, in that blinding flash of occult realization, can bring all separate units of time into one simultaneity, and can bring the separate areas of space into one perception, one form. So lifted the fishes into the heavenly sphere, Uranus, and thus a triple light appeared. A lesser triple light appeared. The radiant sons of suns, son of suns, and what a great name for Sirius. It's, the sunshine of the major sun, as it's sometimes called. It may only be, according to our present calculations, about 33 times more luminous than our particular sun, though those things are always changing, those estimations, when compared with some of the stars in Orion, which are like, if it can be believed, hundreds of thousands of times more luminous than our sun. I've been reading new estimations of the luminosity, the absolute luminosity, and not just the relative luminosity, how bright it appears from our solar system or planet, but a more absolute luminosity as if seen from a very great distance or when comparing these things in their own right. And Betelgeuse and the three Alnitak, Mintaka, Alnilam, Mintaka, the belt, the three stars of the belt of Orion, immense in their luminosity, absolutely incredible. So lifted the fishes into the heavenly sphere, and thus a triple light appeared, the radiant son of suns from Sirius, so strong in relation to our solar system, so luminous in relation to all that the human being undergoes. The watery light of Pisces, there seems to be a Kama-Manasic quality going on there. Sirius itself actually is connected with Kama-Manas and has a strong connection with the cosmic astral plane, whither those on the path to Sirius go. And not yet to the cosmic mental plane, where Sirius also, I guess, holds sway. And the heavenly light of Uranus called the Heavenly One, the magical mystery secret planet, the mystery planet of the ancients, known by them but not known by us, until modern times when in the, I think it's the 1780s, it was discovered by the science of man, but known to the initiates, of course. This light descended on the waiting sphere, that's our Earth. Yes, Earth. And lit the little galaxy, or the galaxy of little lights. Any rather extensive aggregation of points is considered a galaxy. And these little lights can be those who are ripe to become members of the spiritual hierarchy or even other human beings. A galaxy of little lights upon the Earth. So this triple light has an upward drawing power, drawing in. It reminds one of drawing all to the center, as in the second integration formula for the second ray. Drawing all to the center and moving forward with the traveling points of light towards that great light, that great center where the 1 point stands, and in a way that is serious with respect to our solar system, and ultimately it's the Pleiades. A hierarchy of light emerged from its own place. Remember, in the beginning, this hierarchy was from the Venus part of our Earth scheme, from the Venus chain of our Earth scheme. From thence it was provided, and under stimulation from Venus. But the hierarchy of light emerged from its own place, that is, from the lower worlds and from humanity. Right now, our spiritual hierarchy is not composed of the, by and large, of the Kumaras who came from the Venus chain of the Earth scheme, but rather the places have been filled by graduates of the human kingdom. And that's an amazing thought. Even some graduates from the Earth chain who have not been at this very long and have outstripped those who come from the Moon chain, many of which are students of these books at this time. And the planet was alight. The planet was alight, and Earth was alight under stimulation of illumined human beings. Okay, then, as I said, we go on to the Roman numeral 3, but it's still part of the second descent. I don't know what it's doing there, but I think it's the little one upon that little world. So I'm going to take a quick look and make sure that our numbering is correct. The little, Why don't I learn to spell? Little one upon that little world. And if I put the quotation marks there, it should give me what I need, and it does. And yes, indeed, there is a Roman numeral 3 there, even though this particular third paragraph is still part of the fourfold, part of a threefold process, part of number 2, part of the descent of ray number 2. Right. I'm just quickly checking what my volume level. Okay. Mercury is still retrograde. I don't want to be surprised by it yet again, having straightened out a few of these problems. The little one, that's man. Upon that little world, and that's Earth. So let's just put that in so we make sure. Man. And upon that little world, which is Earth, notice the incredibly cosmic perspective from which all this is written. And, you know, who wrote the great commentary, or the old commentary? In a way, it's the wisdom of Shambhala, and has been somehow translated by those who were close enough to humanity to use a language which humanity could understand. Probably these are well concealed in Senzar script, Senzar images, living images of that sacerdotal language, and it takes a real interpreter like Master DK who can read both to bring this forward to us. The little one upon that little world responded slowly, not right away, to the light. It takes millions of years before the response to the second aspect can occur. Millions of years before the response to the second aspect can occur. Matter of fact, you know, the whole beginning of that response is the first reversal of the wheel. If man has been evolving already for 21 million years, the people on the Earth chain, and from the Moon chain even more, it's only in the last some thousands of years that one is, as an aspirant, approaching the path. So mostly it's under the third aspect, isn't it? Correlated with our third ray of our planetary logos. So the little one upon that little world responded slowly to that light until today the little world of men begins to throb in rhythmic unison, and this is what we call the effect of the spiritual, the effect of the spiritual hierarchy of our planet. Changes are wrought. Archetypalization is occurring. The pattern of the plan is beginning to work out as it attempts to bring to time and space the higher pattern of the purpose. The cosmic heart, Sirius, and the heart systemic, maybe our solar heart, because our solar logos is a second-ray heart center in the cosmic logos. And the little heart of man, I suppose, with many intervening steps along the way, because maybe the planetary heart is not even listed here. That is the hierarchy. And there are other heart centers in this descent of heart centers, but DK gives us the main idea. The cosmic heart, the heart systemic, and the little heart of man begin to beat as one, and this is what hierarchy can achieve in humanity. And this beat pulsates with greater strength, and as this beat pulsates with greater strength, it blends a lower note, and AAB gives us the hint here that that is the solar plexus. It blends a lower note within itself. The solar plexus center is absorbed into the human heart center, and all of these are absorbed into still higher heart centers. The egoic lotus itself is a kind of a heart center and should be in a way involved in this descent. Removes its harshness and its note of fear, and these are all Martian attributions. What are the Demos and Phobos? Isn't that it? I'm trying to think. If we went here to Google and Phobos and Demos, what would we have? Let's see. Yes. Images of Deimos, Phobos and Deimos, the two moons of Mars, apparently, to which Mars has no right, we are told, in the secret doctrine, Our locations frequently, let's see, what does it say in the Wikipedia here? We're not getting too much from it. But anyway, fear and terror are concerned here. And so the harshness is connected with Mars and its moons. Demos or Deimos was a god of fear, dread, and terror. And his twin brother Phobos of panic, fear, flight, and battlefield rout. They were the sons of the god Ares, like Ares, who accompanied their father into battle, driving his chariot and spreading fear in their wake. As sons of Aphrodite, goddess of love, the twins also represented the fear of loss. Okay, in classical art, the two were usually represented as youths. Phobos was sometimes depicted with a lion or lion-like head, as in the image at the right. Okay, that gives us some idea. Daimon, fear, dread, and terror, and his twin brother Phobos, panic, fear, flight, battlefield, rout. There are some similarities between the two, aren't they? And the god Mars produces this, and when people act solely out of their solar plexus, this descends upon them or upon those they contact. So these hearts, this line of hearts, then the three whose number is a 12 respond to the greater 12. I'm thinking about a line of hearts within the human being itself, namely the heart within the vehicle, the heart within the head, and the heart upon the 12 upon the plane of soul. Endeavor cooperate as one. And they respond to the greater 12, and there's every reason to believe that greater 12 is associated with the monad, which is deeply connected with Pisces, because I leave the Father's home and turning back I save. That's a salvational theme, and the whole descent of the monad is salvational in its nature. So, respond to the greater 12. Okay. So the harshness of the solar plexus, and you see this in certain world religions at the present time, it's just extremely strident, separative. The image of iron is always present. The blade is present. The cutting of others is present. This is all acting right out of the solar plexus by a number of six-ray souls who at this time don't know any better. And thus it ends illusion. The heart, or the intuition, through the heart comes the intuition, or at least the heart center is responsive to the Buddhic plane, which is the seat of the intuition, and it is the intuition that dispels illusion. And then, again, the two are one. So we have a union here. Well, it's a union that goes all the way up the line. The solar plexus uniting to the heart, uniting to the hierarchy uniting here to the three great lights, awakening to the great love through Uranus, which is a representative of Sirius, along with Saturn and Neptune, and maybe one other planet we might call Isis, way out there. That's speculative, of course. And then Pisces, a great second-ray source. I sometimes think the greatest, although DK does, because it's a cosmic decade, though DK does, so therefore the greatest cosmically considered in a way, though DK talks about the preeminence of Gemini in bringing forth the second ray. And then finally to Sirius itself, which seems to control the whole evolutionary pattern from its certain types of lives, three great lives on Sirius. I'm thinking about how these great beings are really multiple beings. They are group beings, and yet they are one. So this is the mystery of the many and the one. There are many who are drawn into a oneness, which is one being, just the way a number of groups of solar angels can be drawn into becoming one planetary logos, and yet they are one being. So this is the mystery of group consciousness and how it comes about. Well, okay, that was a little review. And in a way, I want to put this up here So this is end number 1, number 2 of Esoteric Astrology Adventure 116. Now, of course, 116A and really here, Esoteric Astrology Adventure 116B began as part of my apology for the technical mishaps when I ran out of time allotted on the little internet device. I was being monitored. Father Time captured the program and said no more, and so I had to truncate it. I had to truncate this program at about 51 minutes or so, pretty near the end, but okay, that's the way it happened. Now on to the Pleiades. So, the 7 mothers. Well, the 7 great Pleiades. Are there 800, 900? Are there ultimately 1,000? Are there like 972? Just the way there are petals in the 1,000-petal lotus, 960 plus 12. All of these things will be revealed to us as we go along. The 7 mothers blend their light and make it 6, referring to the lost Pleiad. Which is the lost Pleiad? Is it Maya? I mean, that is a word that has to do with veiling. And this lost Pleiad veiled her face in shame because she had married a mortal, which probably means she had a special relationship with a non-sacred planet, which probably means the Earth. Oftentimes the 6, the 7 do become the 6. I'm even thinking about our own planes and the disappearance, in a way, of the astral plane, 7 becoming 6. Frequently we're left with the hexagon and maybe with a point at the center, which is synthesizing 7 points, but it's hard to arrange evenly 7 on the periphery. Anyway, the 7 are related to the 9 also. 6 and 9 are closely related as factors of 3, multiples of 3. So the 7 mothers are the 7 major stars of the Pleiades. I used to know them by memory, but you can look them up. And Alcyone is central, and Maya is one of them, and Electra and Taygete and Seleno and others. And yet the 7 still are there. Every once in a while, astronomically, one looks at different ones of the Pleiades, and they seem to be changing the power of their radiation. Sometimes they seem to have a certain magnitude with respect to the Earth, visual magnitude, sometimes more, sometimes less. So there's some kind of fluctuation going on there, and there's a mistiness within that constellation, which may be partially responsible for the veiling. Sometimes I've wondered whether these stars are not really like Maya Varupas of great beings. I mean, if a human being can have a Maya Varupa at from the 4th initiation onward, why should not certain solar beings be able to do the same once they have passed a certain cosmic initiation? Perhaps they are not born in the usual way after that time, but simply appear, put in an appearance in a, well, we'd have to have something to compare it to, but with human beings we have the bipolar union, which produces generation. And maybe with many stars, they seem to have their polar opposites. Is it possible, though, if we rise high enough in the scale of things, that stars do not have their polar opposites, but project themselves and appear in a certain way that is analogous to the Maya Varupa process in the human being? So yet the 7 still are there, even though one is veiled. The whole question of veiling is related to the 3rd ray, and the Pleiades is a tremendous source of the 3rd ray. There are some theorists that feel that the monadic ray of the Pleiades is the 1st, that its soul ray is the 2nd, and its personality ray is the 3rd. And I think they have creditable ideas for thinking that. though I don't yet wish to compromise the idea that the third ray is very, very powerful in the Pleiades, and may be ultimately the most powerful. In this chart of the Tibetans, chart 5, page 344, and given color here by color and meaning, I would say, by Keith Bailey and the AUM group, it looks like everything's coming out of this green triangle, which I assume to be the representing the third ray nature of the Pleiades itself. And so in this yellow circle there would be 7 ones about whom naught may be said, and presumably they are more local than the others. I call these other big circles sub-parabrahmanic logoi, and this is a cosmic parabrahm, but if we were to look at it, it probably is just one of 7. You know, if we look at this chart called parabrahm, we see that every 7 turns into a 1. So if this, for instance, if any one of these were a cosmic parabrahm, say this, then it would simply be 1 of 7. And on it would go, and how high it goes we don't know. I think it's sufficient to realize how vast is the cosmos and what an adventure we're on, and that we've done this as the one being that ever is, infinitudinously. Well, it's a mystery. How can there be no beginning and no end? Everything we know about has a beginning and end, except the great breath is perpetual and apparently never had a beginning and never had an end. So how long, you know, what happens to time when you begin to conceive of infinity? Time is dwarfed. All definite periods of time become what I call the ultimate negligibility, or a quantity always smaller than any definite quantity, ever and always smaller than any definite quantity, or than any definite time. The ultimate negligibility is a unit of time and a unit of space. Of course, you know, beyond time and space, what is it? I always call it next to nothing. That which is infinitely next to nothing, and yet is not nothing itself. Nice third ray metaphysical thought, meaning perhaps absolutely nothing except what it can induce in us in terms of the sense of relativity, and how we can face the great appearance of the great illusion that is before us. All is illusion, O dweller in the shadows, come forth into the light of day, display the hidden glory of the Blessed One, the glory of the One and Only. The glory and the truth will rapidly destroy that which has veiled the truth. The prisoner can go free. The rending of the blinding veil, the clear pronouncing of the truth, and practice right will render to the Blessed One that golden thread which will provide release from all the maze of earth existence. It is the stanza for the third ray monad, third ray blessed one, and it talks about the ending of illusion. Well, you know, we have illusion because there's a great veiling going on, and in some ways the Pleiades, Mercury, etc. are deliverers of illusion. Those that have the very strong third ray, they veil reality for a time and then reveal it in glory. Yet the 7 still are there. Little digression. Their light is different from the other lights. Now, let's be careful here. Right. So their light is different from the other lights. What is meant? Well, not sure, but the Pleiades, the major 7 or 9, are distinct from the hundreds of others with whom, or with which, they are aggregated. So they do stand out, sometimes I think as a jewel in the head center. They are like a jewel in the zodiac. I think it really, to me, that makes the most sense. I mean, we have the 1,000-petal lotus at the top of our head. We have the heart within the head center, which has the major petals, and within that heart center, as within every center, is a jewel. Jewels are 7-fold. at least in our system, they seem to have a sevenfold nature, even if an eightfold radiation. Go figure. So that jewel box, as it is called, seems to be the central jewel. Those seven seem to be the central jewel. Now, sometimes Ray theorists say that, okay, we've got the throat center here, of the one about whom not be said, and that's what they represent because they represent such a high third ray being. And of course, it is possible. I can't say it isn't, but their jewel-like nature stands out to me. It's almost a perfect replica. You know, the one at the center. It's almost as if the Pleiades are at the center of all the signs of all the constellations of the zodiac. This is not astronomically factual, but it is a pretty good approximation. Okay, their light is different from the other lights. This light evokes response from that which shouts aloud. I am the densest point of all the concrete world. Capricorn. Interesting about density and ethereality, because Capricorn is both. Otherwise, it could not be the sign of initiation in which ethereality is achieved. But indeed, great density occurs, and through Capricorn comes the third ray, and it does come through the Pleiades too. And it does come through Mercury, which I think is monadically on the third ray, ultimately, maybe with a little bit of the fifth ray thrown in there as a submonadic ray. Speculation. Okay, well, one day speculation becomes intuition. That's the blending of buddhi and manas, you know. So if you put up the right speculation, it resonates with that which is, and suddenly, aha, that speculation is true. It has the resonance of truth. It has the ring of truth. So, you know, it's like shooting a lot of arrows, and some of them really hit the mark. This light evokes response from that which shouts aloud. And remember, the rampant lion was on his feet, and he also shouted, receiving from the great bear. I am the densest point of all the concrete worlds. Capricorn. I am a tomb, and also I am the womb. Well, buried in this density is the unit of consciousness. So for a long time, the unit of consciousness is buried for a long time, but then is reborn in the light, which Capricorn also represents. The light supernal. This language of the old commentary is absolutely wonderful. You know, it's just amazing to me. The Tibetan has such a accomplished way of putting these things in words. Indeed, you know, he must be strongly Mercurian. He's sometimes called, you know, the messenger under Gemini, and Mercury is the messenger. And the gift of words and eloquence and so forth comes through Mercury. It must be strongly with him. I am a tomb, and I also am the womb. I am the rock which sinks itself into the deep of matter, in a way going down into the very lowest levels, into the lowest physical nature of the solar logos and planetary logos, sinks itself into the deep of matter. I am the mountain top on which the Son of God, the second aspect of divinity, is born, on which the sun, S-U-N, the sun on the mountaintop, a symbol in a way of the third initiation, on which the sun is seen, and that which catches the first rays of light, and I want to say light from the cosmic ethers, which is a true and living light, and not a veiled light, as is found on the lower three subplanes. No, that's not going to work. All right. To me, a messenger comes forth. Well, you know, remember how the fish goddess rose to greet the light? Well, here, Mercury is coming forth on a different level, of course, but coming forth to meet Capricorn. And Mercury is one of the rulers, ruler of the third decanate of Capricorn, but in a way associated with Vulcan and the Sun, givers of illumination. But then so is Mercury, a giver of illumination. So we have a tremendous third decanate there in Capricorn. The illumination is initiatory. in its meaning. To me, a messenger comes forth, yes, Mercury AB, and says, the day spring from on high is on the way, sent by the father to the mother. Well, the day spring, the source of all light. We are dealing with the mother here, who really more essentially is the Pleiades. The moon as mother. Well, there's also the man in the moon, if you think about it. Everything has a dual aspect. But the moon is not the real mother. Maybe the mother of the form, but in a far deeper sense, Pleiades is the mother of the form. To me, a messenger comes forth and says, the day spring from on high is on the way, sent by the father to the mother. It's some sort of great light. Upon his way unto this nether star, interesting that it's called a star. I'd just like to say that some research was done, and Jeremy Condick pointed this out from HPB, that it seems that in a way all of our planets are really stars. Well, they are stars in the making, but maybe more literally so in some sense. Jupiter is pretty much just about a star. It almost reached the ignition point. And maybe there's a previous nature, a previous stellar nature, I can't be sure. But it was very interesting to consider the planetary logoi are on their way, I suppose, a number of them, to becoming solar logoi or to becoming stars. And maybe it hits me that they are a group that has united to, or will unite, to become a solar logos, just the way the solar angels unite to become a planetary logos. It's all this 7 into 1, many into one gathering, and yet they don't really remain themselves. They remain but one being in consciousness, with a number of aspects contributed by each one that went to the making up of that one being. So upon his way unto the nether star, we call the Earth, he stopped at a bright sun where shines the light of love. So the father, in a way, is the great bear, and was communicating with the mother, who is the Pleiades, and he stopped. So this is a kind of motion that is horizontal and is going across the highest level of this 18-fold tabulation that goes from the father, the great bear, to the mother, but stopping at the sun, where shines the light of love in its second ray monadic nature. As a matter of fact, if you look at this, although it seems that the monadic ray of Venus is the sixth, and DK does tell us it's the home of the, Venus is the home of the planetary logos of the sixth ray, and whenever he uses the word home, it's going to be monad, okay? But still, there can be no 4, 5, 6, 7, seventh ray monads in the ultimate sense. In a subsidiary sense, yes. So probably the ultimate monadic ray of Venus is 2. Probably the ultimate, well, we're told the ultimate monadic ray of Neptune is 2, Neptune being the higher octave, Venus closely related to Neptune and to Sirius, 2, and then finally Sirius, which I believe has a fifth ray soul and also a sixth ray subsidiary monad, in my opinion, being the loyal dog following Orion, who I think is a still far greater life if you look at the magnitude of the stars. Sirius, I think, a second ray monad too. There's a triangle there of second ray monads. And ultimately our sun, which perhaps, well, Stephen Pugh theorizes that it's a fourth ray monad. He could be very correct. It could be very correct. It is yellow in its demonstration at this point, the fourth ray color, but that could change. But even the fourth ray is a subsidiary ray. Ultimately, the second ray monad may be the case. That's quite a line of 2s descending. Upon his way unto the nether star, we call the Earth, nether, lower down, a non-sacred planet, he stopped at a bright sun where shines the light of day. But the father aspect will reach the nether star. That's the point. And there received the accolade of love. We're told about the accolade of initiation, the pouring forth of the great energy, a kind of a response to one's aspiration, pouring forth of the energies of initiation in a great flood of uplifting energy. And there received the accolade of love, So thus he brings bright gifts to man. And this can be, yes, because Mercury is going to be one of those planets that receives this accolade that is coming from the father through Sirius to the mother, and then eventually through Capricorn with its light sublime, and the lighted gifts will be dowered on Mercury. Okay, so these lighted gifts will be dowered on Mercury, and he will give them to man. For Mercury and man are so closely related, Mercury ruling the fourth creative hierarchy. Okay, so so thus he brings bright gifts to man. He brings the gift of illumination, the gift of realization, the gift of correlative understanding, seeing how everything fits together, no longer just in a chaos of ill arrangement, but making beautiful sense according to pure reason. For he is man himself in the way that I just said. Mercury is man. Mercury is Manus. Mercury is the planet most associated with the fourth creative hierarchy of man. For he is man himself, and from these three, the Pleiades, Capricorn, and Mercury, according to AAB, there is a triple light, must be again. Man takes a nature which is his today. It's a throat center, and man is a throat center at this moment. He's a throat center within our planet, though, as I tried to say earlier, he may be a kind of a solar plexus center within that still greater being who is the solar logos. You know, the individual man might be as a cell within an abdominal organ ruled by the solar plexus. Takes the nature which is his today, son of the mother, born from the tomb, arising from the tomb, just like the Christ arose from the tomb as he cast the rock away, and showing after birth the light which he has taken from them all. And, well, what is birth, you know, in this case? Is birth individualization, or is it entry into the fifth kingdom of nature, the light which he has taken from them all? Because man begins to demonstrate that triple light as he, well, first as he emerges into the light of mind, yes, and then later as he emerges into the light of initiation by being born into the fifth kingdom and into the higher world. It's a kind of second birth. Oh, there's so much here, you know. Then to the lower three, okay, well, you know, one almost wants to see these things line up. Yes, one does. So allow me just a little bit of the seventh ray that I have to line these up just a little, so they look a little bit more like they're all part of the same old commentary process. Then to the lower three he turns, and to these souls in prison, the lower three may be the three lower worlds, in which the souls in prison, the human beings, are found, or to humanity, which is one of the lower three, humanity as a whole. And to these souls in prison, he in time becomes a messenger. So this is a lot about Mercury, isn't it? It's about Mercury dowered with a light which comes from the Father to the Son to the Mother, and through the sublime light of Capricorn, who has descended to the depths, I think, in a sacrificial way. So Mercury is doing all this and giving, Mercury is humanity and every human being. Mercury is the four, and we have the fourth human kingdom and the fourth creative hierarchy, and Mercury has a strong soul ray as he's functioning now. Maybe later he functions more according to his monadic rays, which are pervasive, I think. Okay, then to the lower three he turns, humanity, and to the man who has the ajna center, which is Mercurian, and the throat center which speaks, which is also in a sense Mercurian, though DK doesn't give it as the ruler of the throat center. He gives Saturn and he gives Earth, and he gives Uranus to a degree bearing the 7th ray. He turns into these souls in prison. He, in time, becomes a messenger. The will to evolve. We're working our way into the greater light by learning. The will to evolve is all about learning and going into the light. DK tells us when he describes that will in the latter part of this book. Thus does the Lord of Mercury repeat himself in humanity and in the individual human being, and we might say that in this case mankind and individual man become Mercury. Mercury in replica kind of reminds one of the fractal, repeating in lesser clarity that which the archetype is. The sun descends again into the place of earth and iron. Now, this is interesting because it's a representation of the sun. In this case, Mercury is the sun, and relates to the sun of mind, and to that aspect of soul we call the sun of mind. What about earth and iron? Well, earth is earth and iron is Mars. It's almost as if these lower worlds are dominated by Earth and Mars, two non-sacred planets. Again, he knows his mother. Okay, let's see. Earth and iron are Earth and Mars. Iron, the metal of Mars. So, ruling the lower worlds. And it's interesting, among the elements we have, we have a number of things, but we certainly have the metals. And we have also what's called rare earths. We have other factors. In the periodic table, the whole structure of creation is somehow represented, and I used to talk this over with my friend Melvin Artley, who's really fine on the 5th ray, and he could see these correspondences. So the sun descends again into the place of earth and iron. Now, you know, Mars, interestingly enough, is the exalted planet in Capricorn, which is dense. So we're talking about dense iron in a dense atmosphere, Capricornian atmosphere, and Capricorn is an earth sign. We might say the Capricorn unites all this. All these, earth and iron. Okay, the sun descends again into the place of earth and iron. Again, he knows his mother, but on a much lower turn of the spiral. It's not Mother Pleiades, but Mother Matter. And so there, you know, humanity is in many ways earthbound, and of the Capricornian type, in the early days, we call it the earthbound soul. Humanity is the earthbound soul for a long time, until he awakens from his tomb of density and begins to etherealize and to rise and to go against gravity. Saturn and Capricorn have so much to do with that which holds one down, but later they are responsible for lifting one up, because one has perfected all the disciplines they have imposed and cannot be restrained anymore. And thus the little one upon the littlest sphere, now we are called the littlest sphere here, that is Earth again. There are smaller planets, but maybe this is in terms of vibration, though we're not the least developed planet. Mars is less developed than we are, interestingly enough, and probably Pluto even less. So the littlest one upon the littlest sphere becomes the greatest God, and we are moving initiatorily forward, through initiation. From the directing center of his life on Earth, he toils, I assume that's the head center, and works and carries out the plan. No, it's not the head center, it's the Ajna center. And there we're grateful to you, AAB, for bringing that in. Yes, it is the beam of directing light. It has a very first-ray connotation in some respects. As I've said, the Ajna center seems to be a center with which we can associate all the rays. We find them one way or another, and I've gone through that list before. Here we find a first ray connotation. It is oftentimes considered the second of the three head centers, crown, ajna, and alta major. Sometimes it represents the entire personality of the third aspect and the synthesis of that personality. It has the fourth ray through Mercury, one of its later rulers. It has the fifth ray through Venus, its ruler for both disciples and those who are not disciples. It has the sixth ray. The sixth ray works through the Ajna center. DK tells us in one interesting reference, and in esoteric healing, the seventh ray is there, ruling at least the astral Ajna center. He too awakens to the need. Man awakens to the plan, and from the chosen place, and that's interesting, the chosen place, because it's ruled by Mars, the planet of choice. No, ruled by Saturn, the planet of choice. He utters forth the sound, because this, of course, is the center through which the sound is given forth, which in time becomes the word. At first, sounds which do not reflect the soul, but eventually the word which is the soul itself. And then the three are twain, and these are one. So, in a way, humanity, we can look at it this way, humanity and the blending of the ajna and throat, and then eventually the merging of them all as one becomes consciously humanity. Each of these three, whether it's the lower three or the higher three, become a one, and then the two, which are the two ones, become another one. So even though there's a sixfold descent, eventually every line is simply a one once reabsorption occurs. This is how it works even with the soul and the monad. The soul and personality, the monad, soul, and personality become two, because the soul and personality become one through infusion. And then we're left with the monad and the soul-infused personality, which merge again into one. The monad absorbs them. But this is in the microcosmic level, and there's a macrocosm above it. And so eventually the absorptive power of the higher energies absorbs the monad into it, and the two again become the one. This whole science of reabsorption and the methods of fusion, what fuses with what and what is absorbed by what, this looks like a very intricate study. We can use our intuition and say, well, this looks like how it is, or at least maybe that's speculative thinking, which may resonate with the intuition. This looks how it is. About absorption. We are shown on this map. Let me find the map. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's it. But maybe it's a nicer one. My wife has made a nicer one of these. There it is. All right. We are shown two great synthesizing planets, Uranus and Neptune, and Saturn is a great synthesizer of all these different schemes. Pluto, interestingly, not included because this book was written before Pluto was discovered, and I don't think one could give it forth. At the same time, Pluto maybe is considered a part of something else. But we have absorption going on. Now, there are probably will come the time that Saturn has to be absorbed into Uranus. There may even come a time when Uranus has to be absorbed into Neptune. Triangles in revolution, and the greatest of the members of the synthesizing triangle may be Neptune in this particular solar system, which is given to the second ray. In the next solar system, the final synthesizing planet will probably be Uranus, because after all, these are really expressions of the chakric system of the solar logos, and the solar logos will appear again, Master DK tells us. So there's going to be a lot of absorption into Saturn, but interestingly enough, the Venus, let's see if I look at this a little closer, the Venus and Mercury schemes are absorbed respectively into Uranus, Venus into Neptune, and Mercury into Uranus. But are they absorbed first into Saturn? That is a question. Earth and Mars are certainly absorbed into Saturn. But the question is, I've speculated, is Mars absorbed into the Earth? Is Earth absorbed into Venus? Is Venus absorbed into Saturn before it is, in a way, absorbed into Neptune? And is that absorption into Neptune direct? See, well, in a way, it's none of our business. It's sort of the higher initiations, and it has to do with some scheme of understanding which could be applied microcosmically, I think. It has a lot to do with how our different chakras may be absorbed at death. I think you're finally left with a head center, which is, in a way, samadhi, and has absorbed all the other centers before its energy leaves into another world, leaving the form without the sustaining life. I think there is an analogy here, and although so much is absorbed into Saturn, the question is, do Venus and Mercury break free, and are they absorbed directly into Neptune and Uranus respectively, or are they as part of the Saturnian ring? We might call this the greater Saturn. Are they absorbed into that planet first, and then somehow, only then, as Saturn is being absorbed into one or the other of the other two synthesizing planets, then are Venus and Mercury absorbed into their respective places? Well, there's no way to know. No way for us to know, and no need to know, except, no need to know, except that if we can apply it to the absorption of the human energy system, the way that chakra absorption occurs, then it has some value. So, all right, well, look, we're a little bit over an hour here, and I want to just say this is the end of Esoteric Astrology Adventure number 117A, page 433. Sometimes when I look at how far there is to go, I wonder how ever to get there, but we've already covered over 400 pages and only 260 something remain. So beginning of Esoteric Astrology 117B, page 433. So I'm sure somehow we will get there, and hopefully these commentaries will be will contain seed ideas, any one of which could be developed with greater care by those who have the interest to develop